Good afternoon. This is the 5FM Radio Main News. The headlines. Two suspects apprehended for sodomizing a 5-year-old female juvenile. NUPES appeals to the Ministry of Education to remove requirement of teaching plans for experienced teachers. And Sudan Army recaptures presidential palace after 2 years of war. This bulletin is also live on our Facebook, 5FM Radio Zambia, and YouTube, 5FM Radio Zambia. With the details, my name is Lance Sannie. Police in Lusaka have apprehended two of the four suspects for the case of unnatural offenses involving a 5-year-old female juvenile victim who was allegedly sexually assaulted against the order of nature in Mtendere East. The matter was on March 19, 2025 at 16 hours of Mtendere East, reported on behalf of 5. The incident is alleged to have occurred on March 11, 2025 between 17 hours and 21 hours in Mtendere East. Police Public Relations Officer Ray Hamonga says preliminary investigations indicate that on the fateful day, the victim was playing with her friends when she was left alone by the roadside. He says it is alleged that William Peary, aged 21, and Lawrence Peary, 19, forcefully took her into an unfinished house where they were later joined by Victor Mutinta and an unidentified accomplice. He says the assailants allegedly covered the victim's face with masks and took turns sodomizing her before threatening to slit her throat with a razor blade if she revealed the ordeal. The victim sustained injuries to the anal region and is receiving medical attention. Justice Minister Princess Kasune has expressed concern about the continued increase in defilement and rape cases in communities. Speaking in Parliament this morning, Ms. Kasune questioned why men are engaging with adolescent girls when adult women are present in their communities. The minister insisted that such actions must be discouraged in society as they pose a moral concern. The minister was given remarks on the recent speech by the president during the State of the Nation address.
I am holding my tears. A father who is supposed to be protecting a child who is not only young, 7 years old, has cancer, and the father has the audacity to rape and defile that child at UTH hospital. Is that not sickness? The government can only do so much. The government has created laws, but I think we need to interrogate the mental issues in this country and begin to deal with them. We need to deal with the perpetrators in a strong manner because I think people are getting away with a lot of things. Those children are damaged for the rest of their lives. And you men out there, why are you doing that to our children when we, your size, we are here?
National Union of Public and Private Educators of NUPE's Executive President Victor Muyumba has appealed to the Ministry of Education to eliminate the requirement of teaching plans for experienced teachers. Speaking during a media briefing, Mr. Muyumba says teaching plans consumes time which can be utilized to practically teach learners. He has observed that teachers would spend more time of drafting teaching plans than the actual teaching sessions. Mr. Muyumba says the government instead must allow experienced teachers to be taking notes of what they are intending to teach.
What is going to happen in this case? Teachers can get into that classroom. Once they have to beat this 7-page lesson plan, they will sit on that desk in the classroom and give notes to one of the girls or boys to write on the board, so that when this child is writing on the board, they are busy also writing lesson plans. That is not teaching. That is pretense. We want proper teaching to take place, and everything must be in place must be orderly, must be fair, and this is what we are talking about here.
Zambia Agricultural Research Institute ZARI acting director Ndashe Kapulu has highlighted the Southern African Fertilizer and Soil Health Program, SAF-SHP, as a key driver in establishing a regional hub to enhance economic development and food security across the Southern African Development Community SADC region. Speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing regional conference in South Africa, Dr. Kapulu underscored SAF-SHP's role in improving access to fertilizers, particularly for small-scale farmers, while ensuring efficient fertilizer use through refined, area-specific recommendations at both farmer and landscape levels. He stressed that this can only be achieved through nationwide soil mapping and enhanced access to soil testing services. Dr. Kapulu noted the importance of strengthened partnerships and collaboration among stakeholders to validate domesticate the soil health and fertilizer action plans outcomes of the Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Summit held in Nairobi, Kenya in May 2024. He called for defining clear entry points for investment by governments, development partners, and the private sector, emphasizing collective resource mobilization, technological innovation, capacity building, knowledge sharing, and institutional strengthening as key drivers for actualizing the Nairobi Declaration. Dr. Kapulu has further noted that Zambia's Ministry of Agriculture, through ZARI and in collaboration with the University of Zambia, is implementing a nationwide soil mapping exercise to refine fertilizer and liming recommendations. These efforts will be supported by area specific soil health practices and decision support tools for farmers to boost productivity. He reiterated ZARI's commitment to developing context specific, climate resilient technologies for Zambia's farming communities. University of Zambia UNZA Professor Thomson Kalinda, from Dean of the School of Agriculture Sciences, highlighted the country's progress in agricultural research to address climate challenges. For example, the institution has developed drought resistant legume varieties capable of thriving under high water stress conditions. On soil health and fertilizer management, Professor Kalindi emphasized that soil mapping is critical for establishing evidence based fertilizer recommendation systems to promote efficient use. This is contained in a statement issued by Zambia High Commission South Africa First Secretary Press and Public Relations, Tamara Nyirenda. And in other news trending this afternoon, governance expert Sam Zulu has applauded President Hakainde Hichilema's commissioning of a seed plant in Kabwe. Organized Vendors and Traders Multipurpose Cooperative Society Limited Secretary General Kendrick Siame has urged the council to carefully consider the allocation of trading spaces along Simon Mwewa Lane. Up next, the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
Skillshare Governance Support Foundation Chief Technical Advisor Charles Mushitu has underscored the need for organizations, particularly those within the agriculture sector, to shift towards greater self-reliance. This shift is especially important in light of the recent suspension of USAID support, which has left many organizations dependent on donor funding vulnerable. Mr. Mushitu underscores that relying solely on external aid is unsustainable in the long term, and that it is imperative for these organizations to develop strategies and frameworks that enable them to generate their own resources and build sustainable models of growth. He says the agriculture sector, which has traditionally been a key recipient of international aid, must adapt and innovate to ensure its survival and continued success without depending on fluctuating external support.
A donor is a donor. A donor can shift goals anytime. They also get this funding from back donors, usually from their respective home government. And so anytime, at any point, donors can withdraw funding. So when that happens, what happened to our livestock? If, say, people are rearing chickens, goats, beekeeping, and so on, and then you are doing that with heavy reliance on donor funding, what happens to your goats? What happens to your livelihood? You actually collapse.
Ends the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
And in news from across our borders, the Sudanese army has recaptured the presidential palace in Khartoum from their rival paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, military leaders have said. Video and photographs posted on social media and verified by the BBC show jubilant soldiers waving their guns, cheering, and kneeling to pray. The army appears poised to regain control of the capital 2 years after it was kicked out by its paramilitary rivals known as the RSF. For more, here's a roundup from the BBC.
Sudan's army says it's recaptured the presidential palace in Khartoum from the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces after months of fierce battle. RSF seized the building when it took control of the capital nearly 2 years ago. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah will make history in Namibia when she becomes its first female president today. The former foreign minister is a stalwart of the governing party SWAPO, which has controlled Namibia since its independence from South Africa in 1990. Speaking to the BBC, Ms. Nandi Ndaitwah acknowledged that some may criticise her gender rather than her actions. Russia has carried out a big drone attack on the southern Ukrainian city of Odessa, injuring 3 people and damaging buildings. Power supplies were cut to parts of the city.
And in sports news, the Northern Province Annual General Meeting AGM is underway with FAS President Andrew Kamanga and Northern Province Chairperson Mwansaka Pyanga in attendance at Sinamur Lodge. Meanwhile, the guest of honor Beauty Undipiri, who is the Deputy Permanent Secretary, had to exit the meeting before delivery of her speech after delegates could not agree on the approval of the agenda. Currently, the delegates are still debating whether to adopt the agenda or not, with some members proposing that some members be admitted to the meeting despite not being on the roster. Some FAS elections presidential candidates are in attendance, among them Adrian Kashala and Keith Mwemba. Northern Province is the 7th province to hold its elective AGM after elections were held in Southern, Lusaka, Central, Northwestern, Copperbelt, and Luapula provinces. And now the weather.
Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy. Class Econ. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
Northwestern, Copperbelt, Luapula, Northern, and Muchenga provinces, including the northern parts, western and eastern provinces, partly cloudy, slightly windy, and mild to warm with isolated thunder showers. Maximum temperature is ranging between 24 degrees to 31 degrees Celsius. The evening will be partly cloudy, slightly windy, and warm to mild with isolated rain and thunder. Southern, Lusaka, and central provinces, including the southern parts of western and eastern provinces, partly cloudy, slightly windy, and warm to hot. Maximum temperature is ranging between 26 degrees to 34 degrees Celsius. The evening will have few clouds, slightly windy and warm to mild. Ends our weather report, and that item brings us to the end of the news. But before we go, a recap of the stories that made headlines. Police in Lusaka have apprehended 2 of the 4 suspects for the case of unnatural offenses involving a 5-year-old female juvenile victim who was allegedly sexually assaulted against the order of nature in Mtendere East. National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia NUPE's Executive President Victor Muyumba has appealed to the Ministry of Education to eliminate the requirement of teaching plans for experienced teachers. The Sudanese army has recaptured the presidential palace in Khartoum from the rival paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF, military leaders have said. For more news, follow us on Facebook, 5FM Radio Zambia, and YouTube, 5FM Radio Zambia. On behalf of the entire news crew and the technical department, thank you for listening to the happy world of 5FM. Stay safe and stay tuned to 5FM Radio. My name is Lance Sannie Banda. Have a pleasant afternoon.